Good evening. We're approaching the Kuznetsov, where we'll be practicing fully automatic landings. First, however, I want to emphasize that, in order for landings to be fully automatic, the mission itself must be designed for them just as this one was. This is done through the mission editor under the Customize Skills submenu. There must be a check mark in the box next to the words Allow Automatic Landings. Thank you. I have control. If at any time you wish to take control of the aircraft, press the Escape key. To exit this tutorial, press the Control plus Q keys. I'd recommend that you watch this training session to the end and then restart it and fly it yourself. We are presently in manual flight. The navigation system is set to the en route submode. Look at the bottom of the HUD display. There are two words in Cyrillic. To the lower left is the abbreviation NAV for navigation, and to the right is the word marsh for en route. Zoom out the MFD with the minus key until our destination is shown. Notice that our next waypoint is highlighted because we are in the en route submode. To set yourself up for the landing, you need to change the navigation submode to return. Do that by pressing the 1 key. When you do, two things happen. The Cyrillic lettering on the lower right of the HUD changes from marsh to vozv to let you know that you are now in the return submode. But, more importantly, your MFD display changes as well. Now only three things are displayed: the carrier, that little diamond which is the initial approach point or IAF, and your aircraft. Now look back at the HUD. The changing number in the center bottom of the HUD is now displaying the remaining distance to the IAF. When we reach the IAF, the navigation software will automatically switch from the return to the landing submode. The lettering on the lower right of the HUD will change from VOZV to POS. And since the Kuznetsov is equipped with an instrument landing system or ILS, the glide slope, localizer bars, and vertical velocity scale will be displayed when we are in range. You can, however, change directly to the landing submode at any time by pressing the 1 key for a second time. For the purpose of this training mission, however, let's reset the nav system to the return submode. Now let's engage the autopilot by pressing the A key. Notice that both the autopilot and the auto throttle lights are lit. The autopilot is now controlling our speed, altitude, and heading, all in reference to the initial approach fix. From now until we land, there's little for us to do except monitor the system and be ready to take the controls in case of a system failure. As we cross the IAF, the autopilot, because this mission is set up for full automation, will set our flaps and lower our landing gear and tail hook. Here we go. We've captured the ILS and are riding the beam toward the carrier. While we do, let's review. The default setting of the navigation system is the en route or marsh submode. You cycle through the submodes by pressing the 1 key. The first time you press it, you will enter the return or VOZV submode. This will display the carrier, the IAF, and your aircraft. The IAF or initial approach fix sets you up for an ideal landing solution. The numerical readout on the HUD is the remaining distance to the IAF. You engage the autopilot by pressing the A key. From that point until you land, and assuming the mission is set up for fully automatic landings, there will be little for you to do except monitor the aircraft systems and be ready to take control should there be a system failure. The autopilot will control your speed, heading, altitude, air brake, flaps, landing gear, and even the tail hook. Okay, but let's say that the mission is not set up for fully automatic landings, as most missions aren't. What then? All the navigation submodes still operate as advertised. You, however, will have a bit more work to do once the autopilot is engaged. The autopilot always controls your speed, altitude, and heading. You, however, must control the flaps, landing gear, and tail hook. There will be one added wrinkle in an autopilot landing without full automation. The autopilot will disengage 1 kilometer short of the carrier. You must be ready to take full control of the aircraft at that point. Now back to the present fully automatic landing. We're almost down. Once we hit the carrier deck, make sure that both the autopilot and auto throttle are disengaged. If they aren't, quickly press the A and J keys respectively. After that, all that's left to do is to taxi to a parking area using the X and Z keys for directional control. Thank you. You have control. To taxi, press the escape key. To restart the mission, press Ctrl Q. Then select Flight, Play Track from the Mission Editor menu.